Hey guys, how's it going, and thanks for coming. So I've been doing a lot of research on student loan forgiveness. One of my recent videos, a lot of people were watching because a lot of people are struggling to pay their student loans. So I've been doing a lot of research into the HEROES Act bill. Obviously there was the original, then there were voted on, so I'm going to give you updates on that. Then we're going into, apparently there are talks of alternatives to student loan debt. I put /scams because it kind of seems trashy. But then, of course, something that's always fun, lawsuits. We're going to talk about that, what's going on. It's actually happening, I just heard, what's today's date? June 3rd. It's a Wednesday. So whenever you're watching this, a lawsuit is happening. Kind of interesting, you should definitely know about. But at the very end, I'm going to tell you, because we're all still waiting on the government, and they're not helping anyone. So I want to give you a list of things that you can do for your student loans that could help you with your payments, your balances, and just your overall options that could help you with your student loans. Because if we wait around for the government to help us, that's never going to happen. So I would like to help you right now. So if you're a politician, hit this video with a thumbs down. If you're not, let's continue. So if you haven't seen my other video, I will leave a link in the description so you could see the actual details of when this HEROES Act bill was created. But let's just basically summarize. So when this was first created, there were talks that there were up to $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. So a lot of people were interested because there's I gotta write this down because we can't even understand how big this is. $1.6 trillion in student loan debt and climbing. So that's why it's so popular. So the Democrats created this $10,000 number, then it was voted and passed on in the House of Representatives. However, this forgiveness was actually adjusted. So instead of everyone possibly qualifying for this $10,000, it was actually adjusted to certain people. Some examples: the borrower would be eligible if they have a monthly payment of $0 on an income-driven repayment plan, if they were defaulted on these student loans, delinquencies, any type of hardships, if they were in forbearances, and basically people that are financially struggling to pay these bills would qualify for this. Now, some would argue that this is actually like praising bad behavior, that people can't pay their loans and you're helping these people. So that could be debatable. Now, unfortunately, I will say of this actually passing, anything involving student loans is honestly highly unlikely, especially with the Republicans talking about it's like dead on arrival, this bill, and that's why I'm helping you guys out at the end. So that's basically a quick summary of what was going on with the HEROES Act bill and the updates and the voting. So I want to tie all this together. I did read into apparently some alternatives that they're trying to create instead of student loan debt. So let's start off with that. So apparently, I found this on Forbes: student loan borrowers deceived by income share agreements, says new claim. So obviously everyone knows that college is expensive, $1.6 trillion in debt. So there are apparently alternatives, like I said before. So this is income share agreements, or ISAs, have been hailed as one alternative to student loans. So rather than borrow a student loan, ISAs enable students to defer the cost of college in exchange for a fixed percentage of their post-graduation income for a fixed period of time. So this might not relate to if you already have student loans, but what this basically means is instead of having this debt, you're giving up a percentage of your future income to repay this. What do you think about this? Personally, I think it's a scam, which we're going to go into right now. I will say it is kind of creative, but that's where you get into trouble. When things become more creative, it just becomes kind of confusing for the normal person, and they sign up because it sounds good when it really isn't. So as we're waiting on the Senate to actually pass this forgiveness, because it did already pass in the House, I do want to remind people of why college is basically expensive. there's probably so many factors out there, but I want to get your mind going, is that the government backs student loans. So no matter what, the college is going to get paid. What does that incentivize the college to do? Increase their tuition, because the government is backing this. So college is so expensive basically because, I would say, argue, one large portion because of the actual government. I don't take sides. I honestly hate both sides. But now the government is now like trying to come in and trying to like help people out, when in my opinion they were like the main source of creating this problem in the first place. That's just me. Now this is when we get into scary parts with this lawsuit, because I know a lot of people are hoping for student loan forgiveness, not only with this bill, but there was that plan of like, if you become income based for like 30 years or so, then it's forgiven. Well, that's what this lawsuit is. So California sues Education Secretary DeVos, I guess you pronounce it, saying she has failed to implement student loan forgiveness program. So key points here: Congress created the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program to encourage students to take public service jobs by promising forgiveness of the remaining balance of their federal student loans after a decade of on-time payments. So basically what that means, if you work in a public service job, for example, maybe in a hospital, a teacher, or the police, and if you make on-time payments, they have to qualify for 10 years. And if you do that continuously, then the rest of your balance is then forgiven. Yeah, well, apparently 99% of loan forgiveness applicants under that program were rejected between 2018 and 2019. They started this program around 2007 of the last recession, and that's when things really started ramping up. So the main issue here of trusting the government of actually forgiving your loans is that you could actually completely be rejected after trying to work and do the right thing and make eligible payments for 10 years, and then they're like, yeah, guess what? No. So that's a big thing going on, and I was really worried about that when I first started looking into student loan forgiveness, of like, hey, that might be a way out, but could they actually like continue with their promise of doing that for you? So obviously, as I saw in my last video, a lot of people are wondering what's going on with all of this, which is exactly why I want to help you guys out now. I want to go over what you can actually do to help with your student loan payments, your balances, and what options you may have. Or you could continue waiting around for the government to help you, because that's been going so well. So the first one that I have to mention, because it's probably on everyone's mind, and since we just talked about it before, is the government help. That they actually might forgive it after 10 years if you're public service, up to 30 years if you're making income-based payments. The problem here is that that might not work, and you're hoping that the government actually keeps their promise. So honestly, I think this is a horrible way. I just kind of want to get that out of there, because I know a lot of people are focusing on that, and that might not be the best thing. You could probably help yourself way more than the government can help you. All right, so let's get to actual ways that could help you. So one would be income-based. And this could be a couple different ways. If it is public federal loans, it's based on your income. I'm not entirely sure of the actual percentage, might be like 3% or 5% or something like that, or up 10 to 15% maybe, but definitely look into it. There are certain options we could see here. There are ways to lower your monthly payment. This could be income-based repayment, like we just said, pay as you earn, revised pay as you earn, and income contingent repayment. So these could be different options based on what kind of loan you have. One, like we just mentioned, would be public. There might be other options for private. You really have to contact your loan provider to see how they could actually help you. Don't let them pick for you. Understand what you have to do and see if that benefits you. Now, for me personally, I don't have any student loans, so I'm just doing all of this research and learning as much as I can. And I have talked to a friend that went through this, so that's why I want to mention this to you guys, is deferment of your payment. Especially right now, we're in this crisis and hard times, that you might be able to delay your payment to a future date. Now, this could be different than forbearance. Forbearance might be a bad thing because, one, that might hurt your credit. Understand the cons to that, and they actually might not extend your loan. So for example, if you defer it 3 months, in a normal person's mind, that would mean the loan gets pushed back 3 months. Well, just because people and companies make things complicated, they sometimes don't extend that length. They keep it the same. So you actually have the same amount owed in a shorter amount of time, which might mean your payments might increase. So look into deferring, not forbearance, and see if they could help you that way. It's quite literally putting your payments on pause. If it's anything other than that, it might not be worth it. Next way to help you out with your student loan payments or the whole balance would be possibly looking into bi-monthly payments. So you could honestly look at this from a mortgage perspective, because some people's balances are similar to mortgages. That's how big it is. With mortgages, you could actually pay bi-monthly, meaning you pay twice per month, and it's the same exact thing as if you pay once per month. It's just like you pay half every 2 weeks. Kind of works out to the same. However, because some months might have like 5 weeks, so throughout the year, you're actually paying not only more frequently, so that's less interest, but also you pay a little bit extra, so it helps you pay down the balance even quicker. Mortgage-wise, I heard that could actually knock off from a 30-year mortgage down like 7 years by only paying twice per month. It's almost exactly the same. Now, I also put minimum payments because, of course, right now it's a little bit difficult because we are in a recession, crisis, if you have a job or not. But why it's taking people forever to pay off their loans is because they're only making minimum payments. If you're able to, you have to make more than the minimum payment so you could actually cut down your principal so you could get out of that debt quicker. Next section is huge. You definitely have to look into it. You have to look at your interest rates. There is a fixed interest rate and a variable interest rate. Rates right now are at all-time lows. So you should really try to get a fixed rate, because if anything happens, I mean, there might be a cap on how much it could fluctuate. However, if you have a variable, that means the interest rate could actually go up. Does that mean higher interest rate, higher payments for you? You don't want that. So one, you could call up your loan provider, see if you could negotiate the actual rate. Maybe if it's a little high, maybe like 9%, see if you could negotiate it a little bit lower, whether that's possible or not. Definitely worth a try. Next, if you're able to get a fixed versus variable, which would then bring us to refinancing. Everyone's different. Sometimes you might require some money to actually go through with this. However, this could, in fact, adjust your interest rate lower, and you could possibly switch it to a fixed interest rate. So definitely look into refinancing. I'm not a professional in this. I know one big company, I believe it's SoFi or Sophie or something like that. You're able to go through that company to possibly help you out with your student loans. You could consolidate there and definitely look into how they could help you. Now, other than getting another job or making more money to pay this down, those are definitely the main things that you can focus on to help you deal with your student loans. It's a little bit more challenging than just having the government forgive it, but at this point, it honestly seems kind of unlikely for them to do that. So I want to give you tools and resources that you could use to help yourself. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I want to help as much as I can. Hopefully this gets to a lot of people, because I know this is a huge $1.6 trillion problem. Don't forget to subscribe, because I am keeping you up to date with not only student loans, stimulus, but also to understand that all of this and how to help you out during these hard times. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.